How is everyone doing? Today, guys, we're going to be looking at the Unit 5 revision pack and looking at all the different objectives and the concepts that we need to understand for Unit 5. Okay, so I'm going to be solving the Unit 5 revision pack to show you how to solve it and how to understand all the concepts. So let's get started. Okay. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the objectives here. Now, the objectives I have here, the first one is going to be skip counting by 2, 5, and 10. Then we're going to relate multiplication to repeated addition. We're going to model multiplication, look at the multiplication facts, and solve multiplication word problems. Okay? So the first task here says, complete the following by skip counting. Now, the first line here is going to be skip counting by 2s. So we start with 2, and then we have to keep adding 2s until we reach till 12. So we have 2, then we have 4. 6 is already done for us. 6 plus 2 gives me 8, so we put 8. And 8 plus 2 gives me 10. So we go to 10, and then 12 is already solved for us. Our second line starts with 5. We're going to be skip counting using 5. So 5, if we add 5 to 5, we get 10. So that's 5, 10, and then 15 is when we add another 5. The next one's done for us, and then we add 5 to 20, which gives us 25. And then here we add another 5 to 25, and that gives us 30. Okay, so here we finished skip counting by 5. The last one here says 10. We're going to be skip counting by 10. Now, a trick for 10 is you just add the next number after 1 and then add a 0. So we have 10, 20, and then 30. See, guys, we just add the first number and then add a 0 because 10 only has 1 0. Here we have 40. Okay, then we have 50. And the last one is going to finish with 60. Here we finished skip counting by 10, guys. All right, so we just completed the first objective, which is the skip counting. It's really easy to skip count. You just have to pay attention to the pattern of each number to know how much you're going to be skip counting by. Now, our next page here, it tells us on the top to model the following multiplication sentences. Now, just like we took before, we know that in a multiplication sentence, the first number is going to be the number of groups. So here I have 5 multiplied by 4. I know that 5 is my first number, and that's going to be the number of groups I have. So I have here 5 different groups, and inside each group, I'm going to place 4 items. So let's get started. Here, I have 4, and I keep doing this to model to try and get my answer. Now, like before, you guys can model in any way you want. I feel like using circles is an easy way to do it, so you don't get confused. Right now, I just finished modeling. I have 4 objects inside my 5 groups. They have to be equally shared. And this gives me 20 if I count them all together. All right? My second multiplication sentence is 3 multiplied by 2. Here, I look at my first number. I see that it's 3. So I make 3 groups. And I place 2 items inside each group. So right now, I finished modeling my second multiplication sentence. And I count by 2s to get my answer. I have 2, 4, 6. My third one is 4 multiplied by 6. Here, my first number is 4, so I have 4 groups. And inside each group, I'm going to place 6 objects to help us figure out the answer. Now, another way, guys, to solve this is after you model, you can either count, you can do repeated addition. If you know the 4 times table, you'll know the answer without counting. This is just one of the strategies you guys can use to solve the multiplication sentence. Right now, I just finished modeling my third one. So here, just quickly to reflect, the first number in a multiplication sentence is always going to be the number of groups I have. And the second number is what I use. It's how many groups of. So it's what goes inside the groups. All right, let's look at the bottom here. Here, guys, it says, I want to write the multiplication sentence for each addition sentence and then find the answer. So here I have 5 plus 5 plus 5. That's my repeated addition sentence. So here I have 5 plus 5 plus 5. I have 5 3 different times. So I know that my first number is going to be 3. because I have 3 groups of 5. So I do 3 multiplied by 5, and that is going to give me 15. Okay, you guys can either skip count, keep counting on, or if you know your 3 times table, you know that 3 multiplied by 5 gives you 15. All right, let's look at the second repeated addition sentence. Here, guys, we have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So I have 3 4 times. So that's 4 groups of 3. So what I'm going to do is, just like before, I'm going to write my multiplication sentence using what I know from before. Okay, so here, let's go on the bottom. We're going to write 4 multiplied by 3, and that's going to give me the answer 12. Okay, guys, because 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 4 times gives me 12. Now, my last one, let's see what we have here. Here we have 2 plus 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 2. It's a long repeated addition sentence. Now here, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 groups of 2. So what I do is I take 8 and I multiply it by the number inside, which is 2. And that's going to give me my answer, which is going to be 16. All right, guys. Now remember, multiplication sentences are always commutative. So if we switch the numbers, they're also going to give us the same answer. All right. And in the multiplication sentence, we said the first number is going to be the number of groups. A trick here is to look at the second number, and that can give you your repeated addition sentence, because that is what we're looking for here. Here, the 5, we added 3 times. The 3 was added 4 times. The 2, 8 times. So that's a little trick if you want to take the repeated addition from your multiplication sentence. You can look at the second number and you'll know what your repeated addition is. Okay, let's go to the next page. Here on the top, it says, I want to write the addition sentence for each multiplication sentence and then find the answer. So here, guys, we want to do the opposite of what we just did. We have the multiplication sentence and I want the repeated addition. Now, remember the trick I told you about earlier? Here, I have 2 times 5, so that's 2 groups of 5. So that's going to give me 5 2 different times. Okay, guys? So 2 multiplied by 5, 5 plus 5 gives me 10. All right? Now, the second one says 3 times 7. So I know I have 3 groups of 7. So I take my 7 and I add it 3 different times. And that gives me, guys, once I do that, that gives me 21. All right? So 3 times 7 is 21, and 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. Both strategies give you the same answer. Now here, I want to look at my multiplication facts. Now for multiplication facts, a really easy way is to either add the second number with the number of groups, or if you have them already memorized, it's even easier for you to solve. So here I know 5 times 2 is going to give me 10. Or you can add 2 5 times. 4 times 6 is going to give me 24. 10 times 2 is 20. Okay, you can look at the 2 times table or the 10 times table because they're commutative. 5 times 4 also gives me 20. So different multiplication sentences, guys, can give me the same answer. Here, 3 multiplied by 4 gives me 12. If you know the 3 times table or the 4 times table, they both give you the same answer because they're commutative. 3 times 9 here, what you can do is, because 9 is a big number, either you memorize the 3 times table or you can add 9 3 different times. Here, I know that it's going to give me 27. All right? Now, let's look here. 9 times 5, what you can do is, like I said, either look at the 9 times table or the 5 times table, and you'll know that you get 45. All right? Here, 9 times 4. If 9 is a hard times table for you guys to memorize quickly, you can look at the 4 times table and know your answer. All right? Here, we know that it's going to give me 36. 6 times 2, guys, is 12, because also 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 8 gives me 24. So I'm going to write 24 here. All right? And 1 times 5 is always the same number. Anything multiplied by 1 is the same number. And 9 times 0 is 0, because any number times 0 is always 0. These two are two rules of multiplication. All right, guys? Now let's move on. Here it says, identify the multiplication sentence that describes each model. So what we have here is we have different models, and we have 4 different options for each model. We want to know what the correct multiplication sentence is for each model. So let's look at the first one. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. Inside each group, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I know that I have 4 groups, and each group equally has 9 objects. So let's look at my options. I have 3 times 9. I know this is not correct because I have 4 groups. The first number needs to be 4. Here, I have 2 times 8. I also know this is correct. C, 4 times 9, and D, 4 times 8. Now, C and D both have 4 in the beginning, so that's the correct number of groups. But the second number, they're different. We know that it's going to be C because we have 9 objects and not 8 objects. So we circle C. Let's look at number 2. 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups. So I know my first number is going to be 8 in the multiplication sentence, and each group contains 2 stars. So I know my second number is going to be 2. If I look at my options, A won't work. B gives me 8 groups, but I don't have 8 objects inside each group, so that won't work. C also won't work. 7 is not correct. Let's look at D. D is correct because it gives me 8 groups, and each group contains 2 objects. So I circle D. Let's move on to number 3. Let's see how many hearts I have here. I have 1, 2, 3 hearts. Inside each heart, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different objects. So I know I have 3 groups and 7 objects inside each group. So I know it's going to be 3 multiplied by 7. Now, if I look at my options, A gives me 3 times 7. Now, even though A is our answer, I always recommend that you guys look at the rest of the answers just to double check. B won't work because it's 2. C won't work, and D won't work. Now, A was the correct answer, but it's always a better option to look at all your answers and all your options just to double check that you guys got the right answer. Now, the last one here is number 4. Let's see how many groups we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. Inside each group, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 5 groups of 10 different objects, all right? So my first number is going to be 5. So A won't work because it starts with 1. B is 5 multiplied by 10. Now, I'm assuming this is the correct answer, but in case, let's just look. 5 times 5 doesn't work, and 4 times 10 doesn't work. So I go back and I circle the answer that I knew was right. But like I said before, it's always better to double check to make sure you have the correct answer. So always read all your options. Another way you can do is you can cross out any option that you think isn't correct so that you know what you're left with. All right? So this was identifying the different multiplication sentence by looking at the modeling form. Here, we have solved the following multiplication problems. Draw to show your work. The first example is already done for you. Let's read number 1. Jad has 5 lunch bags. There are 3 sandwiches in each bag. How many sandwiches does Jad have? So here I know that Jad, I'm going to start circling the keywords and numbers that I'm going to use. He has 5 bags, and each bag has 3. How many sandwiches does he have? We modeled here 5 different bags, so the groups I have are 5 and 3 inside each. My multiplication sentence here was 5 multiplied by 3 because of the 5 groups of 3 inside each, and it gave me 15. Here we have the keyword sandwiches, which is also going to be our unit, okay? It's always remember it's very important to put the unit after any answer in our multiplication word problem. Let's do number 2. Lara bought 10 bags of lollipops. Each bag has 5 lollipops in it. How many lollipops does Lara have? So here I already modeled my 10 bags. I know that each bag is going to contain 5 different lollipops. Now, I know that sometimes you guys might not want to model your answer because you might already know the answer without modeling it. But remember, modeling is always a good form, a good strategy to check your answer, to make sure that you didn't miss any information, that you used everything that the word problem gave you. And it's also a creative way to see how your multiplication is going, what it's going to give you. So here, it's important I put 5 in each group, because if they're not equally distributed, then my answer won't be correct. So here I have 5, and my last one has 5. All right? So here I finished modeling, and now I can do my multiplication sentence. Here I know I have 10. I have 10 groups of 5. So I do 10 multiplied by 5, and that is going to give me 50. All right? And like I said, I always have to put the unit, because I have to know my answer is connected to what. So here we finished number 2 for the word problems. Let's look at number 3. Kareem has 2 bags of Oreos. Each bag has 4 biscuits. How many biscuits does he have? So here, it's like you're imagining the situation in your head. I know that Kareem has 2 bags of Oreos. So here's the 2 bags that he has. Inside each bag, I'm going to place my 4 biscuits. All right? So I have to equally distribute the number of biscuits I have. So the first one's completed. Here, I can't just do 2. I have to make it equal. So I have to make 4 different biscuits. And now I can do my multiplication sentence. Here, I know that the number of groups I have are 2. So I do 2, and I multiply it by the 4. And that is going to give me 8 biscuits. I put the unit. Now I'm all done. So I modeled, and I wrote the multiplication sentence and the answer for my word problems. Let's go on. Find the missing numbers. Now, this objective, guys, is super easy if you remember certain multiplication properties that we talked about earlier. Here, one multiplication property is multiplying a number by 0 and multiplying a number by 1. Here, the rule always tells me any number times 0 gives me 0. So here, there's a missing number. We timed it by 1, and it gave me 0. So I know for a fact that it's not going to be any other number other than 0, because any number times 0 gives me 0. Same thing here. 6 times 0, I know automatically it's 0. 25 times 0 gives me 0. And 8 times 0 gives me 0. This rule, no matter how big the number is always going to be the same. Any number multiplied by 0 gives me 0. Let's look at the second rule. We have a number multiplied by 1, and it gives me 4. My second property of multiplication is any number times 1 is the same number as the answer. So 4 multiplied by 1 equals 4. 6 multiplied by 1 gives me 6. 25 multiplied by 1 gives me 25. And 8 times 1 gives me 8. These 2 rules help you solve these problems quickly. So make sure you guys fully understand them. And whenever you see a number multiplied by 0, know that it's 0. And any number multiplied by 1 gives you the same number. Okay, guys? Now, let's move on. Here, these are really cool strategies that I love to use. It's when we use a spinning wheel to understand multiplication better. Now, we look at the big number inside. Here, I have 2. So I know it's going to be the 2 times table. So what I do is I multiply it with the number next to it to get the answer. The first one's done for you. 2 times 1 is 2. Now here, the answers are also going to be skip counting by 2. We have to look at the pattern. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. See the pattern, how it's going by 2s? Okay, 2 times 4 gives me 8. 2 times 5, let's say, for example, we forgot what 2 times 5 was. Let's go back to 8. I know that 2 times 4 is 8. So if I add another 2, it's going to be the same as 2 times 5. So 8 plus 2 gives me 10. Let's move on. 2 times 6 gives me 12. All right. 2 times 7 gives me 14. The pattern is still correct. 2 times 8 gives me 16. So right now, I'm almost done. 2 times 9 is 18. And 2 times 10 is 20. Let me just fix that. All right, 2 times 10 is 20. All right, so after we finish with the last one, we're done with our spinner. And we know that the pattern is complete for the 2 times table because all the answers are skip counting by 2. All right. Now, let's move on to the 3 times table. Here we have 3. The first one's done for you. 3 times 1 is 3. We're going to be skip counting using 3. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3 times 3 gives me 9. So I do 9 here. 3 times 4 is 12. Notice that the pattern in the answer, here the answers is skip counting by 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So I do 15. 3 times 6 is 18. Now the numbers always get a little bigger, higher with the patterns, but it's okay. As long as you guys understand the pattern going, it'll be easy for you to solve. All right, 3 times 7 here is 21. 3 times 8, let's just fix that so it's clear. 3 times 8 is going to give me 24 because 21 plus 3 is also 24. 3 times 9 is 27. All right. And my last one is 3 times 10 gives me 30. So here I finished my 3 times table. I can check my answers by skip counting starting from 3 by 3s to make sure all of them are correct. This is a really fun and easy strategy to use to understand your times tables and to connect it to repeated addition and to skip counting. All right, guys. Now, we just completed all the different objectives of the unit revision pack for Unit 5. It covers all the objectives that we talked about in the beginning of this video. And I hope you guys understood everything. With practice, everything is going to be easy. And the most important thing is whenever you're solving any worksheet, any revision pack, any assessment, the most important thing is to take your time, okay? Even if you feel like you know it and you answer too quickly, sometimes we might write the wrong answer and our answer would be incorrect. So the most important thing here is time management and to take your time to solve and to make sure you guys study the multiplication tables so that it's easier for you to do and you can always use different strategies to help you answer. All right, guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you guys all understood everything and enjoyed it, and I hope I see you soon. Bye, guys.